All right, there we go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Austin. I am the Executive Director of Global Chamber Dallas Fort Worth, and we have a treat for you today. I'm so excited. This time of the year is just wonderful for me. Food, family, friends, and just being able to see people in a different headspace. It seems like November and December just changes the mood for everyone. So we're glad to have you here today. I'm going to go ahead and share some information with you all. Let's see if I share my screen and we will get started. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Stop. Did it? Wait a minute. Sorry. Share, share screen two. There you go. It's like, what is it doing? Okay, there we go. So as I mentioned, my name is Stephanie Austin. I am the Executive Director of Global Chamber Dallas Fort Worth, and we have a treat for you today. We're going to talk about how to win corporate clients with LinkedIn automation, and just very excited about this topic. I would say well overdue. You've heard so many different things on how and what to do, so I'm very excited that we have a special guest with us today. So just welcome, welcome, welcome those who are here. So I want to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Not sure where you're logging in and joining us from. So whenever you do hear this recording, greetings to you. I just want to share a few housekeeping items or logistics. Use the chat area. The chat area is your friend. Sometimes we have people that are shy who may not want to come off mute. You can come off mute and ask questions. But if you're not comfortable in doing that, please use the chat area to ask questions. Enter your information, who you are, how we can reach you, LinkedIn, your contact info. This is here, we're here to learn, but we're also here to network, to be able to meet new people, learn what you do, learn what each other does, and be able to support one another. Raise your hands if you have questions. If you want to ask a question, please feel free to raise your hands. And then mute if there's any background noise in your area so that others won't be interrupted as we're listening to our speaker. And as I mentioned to you today, network. Meet one or two people that you want to meet with, not just click on and you have a LinkedIn connection. Actually schedule some times to meet with a person that you haven't met with here before. 15 to 30 minutes virtual meeting is great. And one, they get to know about you, you get to know about them. And sometimes there's opportunity to work together, or sometimes it's just opportunity to make referrals when you hear about what someone does. So welcome again. And we'll go from there. Our next slide here, I want to talk to you a little bit about Global Chamber. For those who don't know about Global Chamber, what Global Chamber is. So Global Chamber, what we do, we accelerate across-border trade investments in every region of the world by engaging top executives and leaders with warm connections and timely information to grow business, create success, and change the world. So one would say, well, what about those who are when you say top executives, we do top executives because they may have a higher reach, um, more connections, and so therefore we say top executive. But if you're not a top executive, that does not exclude you. But I'm saying this is how we engage. We engage top executives here at Global Chamber. I want to talk to you about our vision. Our vision is to global success relies on creating connections and relationships across borders and cultures. So I would say my relationship that I met Wendell at a networking event, and we just got on each other's calendar and met one another and talk about what he does, what I do, and then also I asked for pointers. We were at a networking event and his organization is successful, and he gave some great feedback. That's what Global Chamber does. Global Chamber connects you with people like-minded or resources that you might be interested in or clientels that you're interested in. We have effective leadership requires understanding, resilience, and creativity, and diversity is essential for competing successful in this global market. Diversity is not optional, it's necessary. It's a necessity. Just want to talk again. I spoke to you about global connections. We are in 605 metro areas and we are in over 195 countries. What does that mean? If you're a member of Global Chamber Dallas Fort Worth, you are a member of all the metros across the United States and across the globe. You're able to attend all of those meetings. We have over 800 plus virtual meetings a year. In addition to that, we have several in-person meetings as well. And the beautiful thing about Global Chamber that I would like to say, many times we have our members as well as executive directors who may be traveling across the country or across the world. And they may say, hey, I'm going to Tampa. Do we have any Globies there, any Global Chamber members or the ED that I would like to connect with? Whether it's to have lunch. It's like Global Chamber is truly a family, is truly a tribe. Leadership requires understanding, as I've mentioned, resilience and creativity. I mentioned to you that diversity is essential, equity and inclusion committed to a safe, inclusive space across race, gender, and religion. Valuing people, recognizing everyone's unique skill, and everyone has unique skills. What skills I may have may be beneficial to someone else and vice versa. So as I mentioned to you, we're in 605 metros. Our reach extends to over 100 million leaders and 605 plus chapters to help members grow anywhere and everywhere. Yes, anywhere and everywhere. Wendell has a business here in Texas, and he also has a business in, I think, Baltimore. Is that correct? Maryland?
North Carolina and London.
No, North Carolina. We have an executive director there in North Carolina. So when
Okay.
you're there, you can meet with that executive director, tell them what what, Doug always asks, who would you like to meet? What are you
Hmm.
interested in? What is your business? And so therefore he can connect you there as well. As I mentioned to you, we're in 195 countries, North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, and Pacific. And we are continuously growing each and every day. So let's talk about our speaker of the hour. What we're gonna, how to win corporate clients with LinkedIn automation. How many of us see automation just all around continuously, right? And so I was mentioning to Wendell today, I was speaking with my aunt and she's by her, my uncle passed. And I was telling her, I said, hey, I got an animal for you. I got a dog for you. She's like, what? What are you talking about? It's an AI dog. You don't have to feed it. You don't have to walk it. It barks, it walks around, it's lovable, it's cuddly. Here we go with AI again. Automation is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. We have to embrace it and see how we're able to maximize it. So let's talk a little bit about our speaker. So I was calling him Wendell, but he's like, my name is like Denzel. So is Wendell. Wendell Jean Jules. That's his name. He is on fire, guys. When I say he's on fire and he's a force to be reckoned with, he's awesome. I've met with him and I just watch how he moves. He partners well with people, he collaborates. He's a seasoned marketing executive, business growth coach, and entrepreneur. And he sits down and have real conversations, not just spitting off information. It's like getting to know you and your business and what your needs are. And it's not a sell. He's just listening. And then being available to having access. He's the founder and CEO of WJJ Brands, an international business development and marketing agency focused on helping service-based businesses scale through strategic branding, digital solution, and personalized coaching. This is a global chamber member. Your information speaks global chamber. He leads high performing team delivering end-to-end marketing strategy. He's the owner of Linkotomy. It's a LinkedIn automation platform designed to help business build genuine, meaningful connections. He's committed to empowering the next generation. And Wendell, one thing I saw here is that entrepreneurs through the Elise Legacy Program. You're going to have to tell me about how do you come up with that name because my middle name is Elise. It's spelled with a Y, but I want to know a little bit more about that as we go forward. And then he has passion about creating generational impact by fostering entrepreneurship, leadership, and economic opportunity within communities. So without further ado, I am going to turn it over to Wendell Jean Jules. There you
Thank
go.
you. I
You're welcome.
appreciate you, Stephanie. It's been a pleasure and an honor to be able to connect with you and meet you, and then also to now have an opportunity to share some information that I feel like can impact anyone who's watching this in terms of just small little changes that they can do to really essentially stand out in the marketplace. Because as we already know, it's already very saturated with so many new technologies and obviously people just trying to learn things and see how they can apply it so that they can grow and essentially be a little bit more efficient. So really, my goal is really just to add value to whatever it is that you're doing right now, and give you some insight that is helping a lot of our customers, but also my business, book of business, and other people who are just really just trying to learn and grow. So so thank you again, Stephanie, and thank you to the Global Chamber as well for this opportunity. So I guess I'll take it from here. I think you had some questions for me initially, right? Before we dive into the presentation, or do you want me to go straight into it?
You can go straight into it, then I'll start asking you questions. Well, maybe I'll kick off one question. Let me just what the what's the word? Wet some of the people's palate with one question that I have for you.
Of course.
So the question that I have here is, what inspired you to focus on LinkedIn automation as a tool for winning corporate clients?
Yes. So for me, the reason why was originally I was using LinkedIn Sales Navigator for LinkedIn, basically just kind of going through and prospecting. And as I was going through the their technology, I realized there was just a lot of missing opportunities in terms of engaging with your audience because I'm a very personal person. I always like to get to know the people that I connect with. And then also I realized there was the tool, like LinkedIn in general is such a powerful tool, especially if you're a business owner and you're doing business with other people and other businesses. If you're not leveraging it in that way, then it is a huge missed opportunity. And then also there's so many other social media platforms out there. You have Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all of these channels are effective in their own way, depending on obviously how you leverage it in the tool. But through that, it became okay, well, if I'm sitting there constantly going through searching, finding people who I know are my ideal target audience, and doing all of this manually of the search, the messaging, the engagement, the basically prospecting. So all of these things that were happening. And I was just like, well, it would be really cool to be able to actually do something that could save me time, money, resources that would open up some more doors. And internally, we essentially started internally with it. And when we essentially did that, and this was about 2 years ago, we slowly realized how important this could be for other businesses. So we did now start to see it as a really big opportunity to really actually enter the market in a very unique way, especially because as an entrepreneur, for many of you that are probably on here, you're always trying to find a different way to pivot, right? In order to essentially grow business and find new opportunities. And with us being a marketing and business development agency, obviously you can find marketing. Everyone probably knows somebody that's a designer, a web designer, or somebody that does something in marketing. But for something like this was very new to a lot of people. So when we started to see the success in the contracts that we were getting and the opportunities that we were closing, then we opened it up to our clients. And then just to basically build tons of case studies, which we did. Then we realized that through those case studies, there was just so many more opportunities, which obviously during the presentation today, I'll touch on how you can actually leverage LinkedIn automation in various ways. Um, but we started to see that there were other touch points that could be created to essentially help grow a business. And through that, we realized that, okay, well, this is something that is very powerful. We know it's powerful because we've seen it and we've seen the results of it. But then also we wanted to make it affordable. So that was another thing too, right? Of just thinking, okay, how can we help impact businesses, but make it something that's affordable because not everybody can essentially work with us on an agency level because of, depending on where they are in their business and funding. But in terms of automation, who doesn't want to essentially grow their business and actually build connections? And we were like, this is such an easy way to do it because a lot of us are doing this on a day-to-day basis. We go to networking events. we're engaging with people, we're shaking hands, kissing babies, doing all types of stuff, right? Just so we can have an opportunity to close on a deal. Um, but then when we look at it, a lot of this could be done automated, right? And then just whenever you connect with them, then you build that relationship, right? So that's basically what the premises of this was, in terms of creating this, and really just helping people not only identify who their clients are, but also identify who their strategic partners are. I think a lot of times most businesses are always chasing the client, and we found that from a B2B standpoint, if you actually understand who your actual strategic partners are, people who that are already doing business with the people that you want to do business with, and you build those relationships, you can actually grow and scale your company a lot faster as well. So we've seen that play out in a few different ways. So I'm excited to
Well,
share.
good, good. We had a question. I want to make sure I pronounce your name correctly. It was Madio. Madio had raised her hand or his hand. So Medea, if you want to come off of mute, you can. And then I do have a question, Wendell, before you get started with your presentation based on something you said.
Yes.
Medea, are you going to ask a question? Or you could put it in the chat if you like. So Medea, you mentioned in regards to more of the automation and versus the knocking on the doors, meeting with people. Um, and so sending things electronic. Have you found that people have email fatigue or chat fatigue that it's not as personable meeting with people virtually when there's what's the word? When there's a marketing campaign being sent out versus calling someone up. What have you seen in that arena with more of the automation?
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of automation, it's definitely a numbers thing, right? The way I explain it, like if you're in business as a for-profit, for the most part, you're in business obviously to make money and close deals, but obviously building a relationship comes with that, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of times, because if somebody doesn't know you, they probably will be a little bit hesitant in terms of how am I going to have this conversation? Um, but there's approaches that typically we like to lead with to make the introduction or opportunity a lot more inviting, because a lot of people, I think the art of selling is also somewhat almost a lost art for some people because they're always looking at automation as, hey, I'm just going to use automation and just get in contact with as many people. But I think the nature behind our business and the reason why our automation tool is very insightful, but also powerful, and actually, in my opinion, just from data and from comparison, we've actually had a lot better response rates, in terms of people responding, is because we go through the actual onboarding. So anyone who signs up, we go through a full onboarding, which is
Hmm.
about an hours long with every single client that opts in for it. And then we understand who your target audience is. We understand who your strategic partners are. And then we also help with creating some of the campaigns that are a lot more personable. And then part of that is also understanding that nobody wants to be sold. Essentially, they want to be able to understand how they can leverage you, but also know that they can trust and build that type of relationship with you. So a lot of times it's really less about what you do, but more about how can you serve that person at a high level. And if you lead with that, typically we're seeing that a lot more people are a lot more responsive because they know that, okay, well, this person seems like they care about what I do and less about just trying to get a sale. And I would be open to having a conversation with you.
All right, that's how you won me over.
Yes.
So if you want to go ahead and share your presentation, that would be great. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to put that in the chat or you can come off mute and we will get started.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, so I put together this presentation. I'm gonna go through as much as quickly, but obviously informatively as possible. But again, this is really all about how to win corporate clients using LinkedIn automation. Um, as Stephanie has introduced me, founder of Linkotomy, founder of of WJJ Brands. This is really just a quick bio in case you want to know a little bit more about me. I do have a personal brand where basically it's just Wendell Jean Jules, my first and last name, where I offer fractional CMO services, published author, business growth coach, and then also really just support entrepreneurs that are really trying to start, grow, and scale. And so my book obviously does cover a lot of mistakes that I do see, especially a lot of first time entrepreneurs or some entrepreneurs that really have gotten into the space and they don't really know what to do. So this book could definitely help with just really how you're structuring your business and then also avoiding some of the pitfalls that some of you might be running into, which we'll probably cover some of those in this presentation today. In terms of WJD brands, just want to give you a quick high level overview. Again, these are all the services that we do provide from a business development. We can help you with, your business growth program, basically your business development, your marketing plan, your strategy, essentially the consulting side. And then we have a team of developers and web develop and designers that can do anything from custom websites to basically landing page, marketing funnels, design. We have our graphic design team that does anything from logos, business cards, flyers, presentations like this, into anything around activation campaigns, LinkedIn automation, which we're going to talk about today, email marketing and social media marketing, SEO, which are also great opportunities to again tap into the market of growing your corporate accounts as well once you get them into your pipeline. Now, through this presentation, one thing I really wanted to do, because I'm always education before just kind of just giving you knowledge, is well, before just kind of telling you about like really what it is that we do, but I wanted to kind of define what a marketing funnel is. And surprisingly, I've been in a lot of rooms where I find that a lot of people don't actually truly understand or know what a marketing funnel is. So when they do go to a marketing company to look for, um, essentially a company to do their websites, to do their graphics, or to help them grow their business, or whatever it might be, um, they completely miss the psychology behind what marketing is, right? And I think this is something that I hope that those watching will be able to kind of take away and kind of look into how are they showing up in this funnel in their business, right? And the reason being is there's as a regular person who is behind a business, right? You also are a consumer and you have your process, right? So to think that when you go into business, you're just gonna kind of just jump straight to, okay, I have a website and then everybody that comes in is going to buy my product, or everybody who comes in is going to already know who I am, what I do, right? And there's different levels to marketing that if you can grasp what a true marketing funnel is, then you'll actually be able to be very successful in terms of understanding how to lead nurture your clients through the process to actually closing them. Um, as you guys probably know, corporate accounts don't just happen, they don't close in one day, right? Corporate accounts do take some time to nurture, versus kind of like a standalone product that you might just sell online and somebody can just say, hey, I want to pay for a 1 hour consultation with you. Though those services typically can happen pretty quickly, but then if you're going to provide a solution or a big service to a corporate client, normally there's a process that you have to understand, and a lot of people miss the mark because they're not going through making sure that their customers are going through the actual funnel. So just to kind of give you a high level overview, so marketing funnel for us obviously is consisted of these 5 things. Awareness. So awareness is basically top of the funnel. So if I, like Stephanie said, just let's use Stephanie and I's connection as an example, right? Stephanie had no idea I existed, right? A few weeks ago. And through a networking event, we met each other, we had a conversation, And now she became aware, right, that, okay, this gentleman can probably help me with something, or he can come in and actually teach me something that I probably don't know yet, right? So from there, that led to, okay, well, let's set up a meeting. um, just from your elevator pitch and what you do and just answering my questions, I have some level of interest, right? Of wanting to get to know you through the process. Um, and now that went from interest to now, hey, I want to be considerate. Like, I want to go through this consideration stage on, okay, well, you have all of these services. You just explained yourself. You talked through, obviously, how you support and help other businesses. And actually, I do need this support. I do need this service. What is the price point? How does it work? How long will it take to complete this? And at this point now, she's in the consideration stage, right? She's going through, she's looking at her options. She's already built the relationship. Now she's going through and she has to figure out, okay, is this service or product or what this company is offering going to be able to support or meet the needs of what I need in my business, right? So once she gets to that decision, then there's two things that are going to happen. Either she's going to say yay or she's going to say nay. Either I'm not ready, maybe later down the line, or I'm ready to go. Send me the contract. Let's get things going and let's start working, right? Which then that takes you to the purchase side. A lot of customers, from just clients that I've had down the line, a lot of them, they would build a relationship, go to all these networking events, put so much effort into awareness, meet somebody that might be interested, but then drop the ball in consideration because they never followed up. They never had an automation in place. They never had anything to really essentially consistently nurture them through the process so that they understand that, hey, this is what we do at a high level and we can support you in your business. And essentially, between interest and consideration, that's about 90% of people who lose opportunities, right? Now, the people who probably will make it down to purchase probably would, like, if they were in need of your product without really having to go through the consideration stage and they already knew what you did and they just needed a quick fix, that typically is around 3 to 5% of the marketplace, right? And those are the people we would consider your impulse buyers, right? The buyers who come in and they like, hey, like it's fire. Like I have a problem. I need this. I need you to solve this. Somebody told me you do it. I'm not even interested in going through consideration. How much does it cost? And I'll pay for it, right?
But Wendell, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So that's very interesting. So I'm thinking in regards to my global chamber membership, right? It's not
Yep.
just about the awareness because we need to make sure we go through all those steps in order to get the loyalty. So
Yes.
the awareness, the interest, don't lose them in the interest and consideration. Spend some time there as well, because
Yep.
once they have that information and a solid, solid information, even with my business, then whether they're going to purchase or not interested at this time, or even maybe later, I have built that rapport in the awareness, interest, and consideration.
Yes.
And so we rush
100%.
past any of those. As you mentioned, it could be an impulsive buy, and then also retainability can be jeopardized as well.
Correct. And then also sometimes the impulse buyers are the clients you don't want, right?
Mhm.
I'm sure some of you guys probably had some impulse buyers. You just needed the money right away. And you're like, you know what? I'll take on this project. This person's paying something. So I'll just take it on, right? But then they didn't really get the grasp of what you do because they never really went through the consideration stage. But then now, you get a bad review because they hardly understood what you actually did. You
Mhm.
performed and you did exactly what you said you would do, but it wasn't the results that they were looking for. So there becomes problems that happen in between this stage, right? Of not really being able to educate and nurture people through really the ins and outs of your business and what you do and how you do it.
Mhm.
And then also to the point of once you get them to purchase, a lot of people miss out on the opportunity after the purchase, right? So let's say that, for instance, you were on a 6 month contract for a particular service with our agency, but down the line at the end of that contract, you probably actually needed help with, building a marketing funnel. You probably needed help with something else. But because you're only servicing them at the level of what they paid for, a lot of times what ends up happening is that that customer ends up completing the service. You've already gotten the money, you gotten paid, but then you're just focusing on the next customer that's coming in, right? There's no follow up to, okay, we're going to close you out. And then let's see if there's any other areas of opportunity, which also becomes a loyalty stage, right? The loyalty is basically the continuous engagement of your existing client base, which is basically saying that, okay, well, now that we've gotten through this, um, here's the next stage, right? Possibly, like, have you considered this, right? These are some of the other services that we provide, or making sure that your customer also knows everything that you offer, because sometimes the customers are also looking for other services that you provide, but they don't know that you offer it because you never talked about it, because you only sold them on one thing.
Mhm.
So a lot of times people are missing the opportunities from a loyalty standpoint of continuing the business or getting those customers to then leave positive reviews or come back and say, hey, I want to actually engage with, I have a friend of mine's, they need exactly what you offer. It may not be what I paid for, but knowing what you offer also helps with them being able to basically be your on your street team, is kind of how I put it. Like, make
Mhm.
sure like you're building your street team of clients, right? Do a good job so that these people know that, hey, you service them at a high level, and then now they can essentially go out and tell people about how great you made them look, right? And how great you were able to perform, and then essentially that they were able to do way more than what they could have done without, essentially, with your help. So
Yeah,
that's
we
basically,
call that street credit. That's
yes.
street credit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you guys can kind of truly understand this process, this will
Mhm.
help you guys a lot in terms of really just being able to take your business, your services, and apply it into how are you building this into your structure. So that way you can continue to nurture your clients and make sure that they're happy, but then they're satisfied and they're also able to refer people out to you. Now, the next slide, I'm actually going to walk you through actually how this works from building your corporate accounts, and essentially obtaining your corporate clients. And then towards the end of this, I'm actually going to walk you through how all of those stages play into it as well. So in terms of closing and building, but then closing your corporate clients, the first step is positioning and branding, right? Now, what I mean by this is that every single company or brand has some some type of branding, right? It has a logo, brand colors, a mission, a vision. You have something that essentially establishes that you're a business and this is how you operate and this is what you do, right? So a lot of people drop the ball here as well, because sometimes if you don't have the right messaging, then typically people can get confused. And if they're confused in the awareness stage, then I can probably almost guarantee that they probably won't close with you, because they have this level of uncertainty if you'll be able to actually do what you say you're going to do just through a conversation, but not through how your branding looks. The second thing is identifying ideal corporate clients. So when looking for new opportunities in the corporate space, it's also important to understand, what industries, what companies would be interested in the product and service that you offer, and being able to make sure that you understand who is the person in the company. I've met a lot of entrepreneurs who are like, hey, well, I just want to work with Fortune 100 companies. Okay, that's great, right? Yes, Fortune 100 companies do exist, but who within the Fortune 100 company or the Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000 company is the point of contact that either is going to be the decision maker or the person that will be the person to kind of stream you through the process so that you can be able to secure the opportunity that essentially you would want within the organization, right? Then next would be building a strategic, building your strategic visibility. Now, what this means is identifying where's your ideal corporate client. So if you said, hey, I have a company and I want to basically target, just to throw an example out here, photographers, right? I have this really cool product that will change how people do photography. And I really want to make sure that they understand the benefits and how I can serve them, right? So by understanding that your target audience would be photographers, where are the photographers going to be? Typically, you can find them in different places, but instead of just looking for them in different places, you can look to see if there's like a photography summit that's coming up where you can position yourself in a room where a lot of these people would be. So then you're creating that awareness. So then you can be able to engage with these individuals, right? Same thing on a corporate level. It might be that I want a tech company, um, and I want to go after, the C-level suite advisors, but primarily the service that you provide is to support something on cybersecurity. So you might be looking to find a CSO or somebody in the technology space, so maybe a CTO or CIO, someone in that space that runs that organization. So maybe you want to attend a cybersecurity CIO event, right? So finding where are your ideal corporate clients, so then you can be able to position yourself and make sure that you're visible in those spaces, right? Then the next thing is strategic outreach. How are you reaching out to these people? Are you reaching out to them by giving them a sales pitch, or are you reaching out to them by giving them value, insight, and basically giving them information and resources that can help better them so that they can actually see you as a resource rather than just somebody that's just trying to sell them on a product or service that you offer, right? Then the discovery and consultation, once you're actually engaged with them, and then now you're going through the process of, okay, well, now we understand everything that you do. You're taking them through the consultation, and then basically showing, hey, this is how we can service you as a company. Then through that discovery and understanding their business, then now that should take them to the stages of curating a proposal and vision. Now, once you get them to that curated proposal and vision, now we have to think about, how do you stand out, right? Because now you've already understood what their business needs are, and then now you're essentially creating a proposal. But then you want to make sure that, yes, there might get 3 or 4 proposals from different businesses, but how is your proposal going to stand out to get them excited about the opportunity of you being able to work with them? Then it takes us into the multi-stakeholder engagement. It's very important, especially from a corporate client standpoint, that you're not necessarily wasting too much of your time with people who are not decision makers, right? And some corporate clients, typically, a CEO and a CFO might have to be both on board before they agree to any services. So make sure that if you're going to be addressing, a particular need, if that specific contact or decision maker, or double, like, I guess multiple decision makers are going to be involved, then make sure that, one, your proposal and your vision addresses some of the pain points that each and every one of those decision makers have, so then they can essentially lean on voting towards your proposal in that scenario. Then now it would take us into negotiating and closing, which then basically would be essentially you going through the negotiating stage. If they come back and they're like, hey, well, we got a proposal with somebody else, is there any wiggle room? What else can you do? So that you can be able to essentially close the deal successfully. And then the execution experience delivery. So how are you going to make them look like the hero, right? What does that process look like? And then basically the post-service expansion is making sure that you have systems for turning one-time services into long-term corporate partnerships. Most corporate companies do want to work with people that they know, like, and trust. So if you've already built that relationship and already gone through the process and you've done your part in doing a really good job, and then most likely they will actually want to work with you again on other projects or other services that you might be able to provide within that organization. Make
Okay.
sense?
Makes sense. So in the next like 5 minutes, Wendell,
Yeah.
um, I want to see if there's anyone that have any questions. I know you have some more to go through. Anyone have any questions before we pause here or before we move on? I have a question. If no
Yep.
one else has a question. So, what signs indicate a lead is ready to move from an automated message to a live conversation? What signs
Yes.
do you, what's the trigger?
Yes. So from a live conversation, if somebody is showing, so we always try to lead with value first, right? Lead
Mhm.
with value or lead with insight in some manner that would add some type of critical thinking behind them saying, actually, that's a great question, or I want to learn more, right?
Well, I'm talking
Uh,
more from the automated message, like you're sending out the automated messages, right?
yes.
What is that sign? What is that trigger? Now, the only reason I asked that, like, I kept getting all these emails from a person on LinkedIn, and they
Yep.
finally said, they sent like a really snarky response. Well, I see that you don't want to be bothered. It's your loss, so therefore I will stop contacting you. And then I called that person. I reached out. I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "I am getting inundated with so many messages. It doesn't mean that I would love to learn, but that caught my attention, right? So I'm just
Yep.
asking what signs not saying that was the best. So I'm saying
Yep.
what signs indicate a lead is ready to move from an automated message to a live conversation.
Once they respond, I
Okay.
think the response dictates everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the scenario, so the cadence of how often somebody is sending you the automation plays a huge part in when somebody will either respond or say something to you, right? At some point, I know a lot of people don't want to be bombarded, like you said, right, with tons of messages back to back each day, like, hey, just check it in. Because at that point, I would know that it's automated at some point because it's like, okay, well, is this even a real person? Does this person really care about me this much that they want to send me a message, right? So the thing about the automation process for us is that we look at multiple things, right? We look at how do we diversify the automation, right? And that part plays a huge part in really just kind of the whole process. Now, I'll give you an example of that. So, for instance, we have a client, they're in the travel business space. Um, and when we were looking at, creating automation around it, there are a few different things that we found to be very important. One is that if somebody is traveling, typically they're looking for good deals on hotels, car rental, all these other things, right? But typically, when are people going to be traveling? During the birthday, during business, like if they have clients that they have to go see, or if they have to be somewhere out of town for a family function or something, right? So in terms of the cadence, we had to think through what is truly a target audience, right? And there were a few. One could be administrative assistants because they're the ones handling the executives' calendars, right? If they're always going to different places. So there would be a different level of automation there that we created. And then the second one was okay, well, what if we were going after wedding planners, right? Because again, that's what they're dealing with clients who essentially are either looking to do destination weddings or they have families coming into town. They have different things that are happening. So they would need some level of travel services, right? So so within the automation, we have re-engagement automation capabilities as well, right? So example would be that you send out one connection request, a day later, Stephanie accepts my connection. From that connection, and then if you send them a message immediately right after that connection, at that point, I would know you have some type of automation. So I would give it
Yeah.
a day, right? You would set it so that a day later, this person will get a message from me. And then when they get that message, you want to give it some time, right? You don't want to jump in the next day and send them another message. But maybe 2 days down the line, you'd probably do one of the re-engagement capabilities. That could be liking a previous post. That could be viewing their profile. That could be endorsing a skill set. So
Mm-hmm.
you can do something along the lines where you're showing activity, but you're
Mm-hmm.
not pestering them, right? In a sense of, hey, well, I need you to see my message. And then through the activity, yeah, if you like the post, but they saw your message, they might be like, oh, okay, this person, they just messaged me. I didn't respond. Maybe this is an opportunity for me to go respond to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also with our software, we're able to extract phone number and email. So for every connection that happens through LinkedIn, um, through our software, we're able to get the phone number and email if obviously it's available. In some scenarios, it isn't. But we can then now do an email automation, right? Built into that. Now, the email automation could happen after, let's say, 3 days after you just like their last post, right? And then that
Right.
would just kind of be, hey, I know things can get busy, and not everybody's always on LinkedIn. I just want to say thank you for connecting with me. And I wanted to drop this article about how we help, CPAs save 20% on their clients' returns every year. Would love to, get your feedback on if you think this is helpful for you or any of your clients, right? And you
Okay.
leave it at that, right? Less about, hey, I'm a CPA and or hey, I have a technology for CPAs and I want to see if you need it, right? It's how you word it and how you say things, right? And then after that, you can continue to build on that cadence, and then eventually a week later, you send them another DM. You then do another re-engagement. You
Right.
do
Right.
other things to essentially engage them, and then if
Okay.
they don't, then at that point, guess what? The one thing that you did win out of that is that they're a connection. And then
Right.
and then part of that of them being a connection, the unique thing about it is that you can always retarget your connection. So at the end
Yes.
of the day, if there's let's say you were trying to work with a whole bunch of realtors and then only 10% of the realtors responded, but then now you have over 500 new realtors in your connections, you can now say, okay, you know what? I want to, and I'm going to jump to the screen here
Yeah.
for the sake of time.
Yeah.
You can actually say that, hey, I want to actually do a re-engagement campaign and do an event specifically around realtors. And then now our software, we can send out up to 50 messages a day to your first degree connections within LinkedIn. So then
Oh,
now you could say, hey, to all, I want to filter through all these realtors and then now create a campaign and then invite all of these realtors that I connected with and then invite them to an event, right? So then
wow.
now you're leveraging your network of people who you're connected to, even though they may not have responded, but now you're giving them more of an opportunity to connect with you on another level, which probably would then open up the door for conversation.
Wonderful. Well, Wendell, our time is running out, but it's funny that you said realtor because Donna put in our chat, she's a realtor. She thinks she's a member on a global chamber. So thanks so much. Are there any other slides? I think you had something lottery or
Yeah, so for
winner.
those that are on, we are doing a giveaway. So if you have a LinkedIn profile, you do have a chance to win a LinkedIn profile makeover. So you can scan this and win an opportunity to possibly get a makeover. And we'll do your profile image, your banner, your copy, restructure your profile so that you can get found. One thing I would encourage you guys to look up into is an SSI index and what that means. So LinkedIn actually rates every single profile
Oh,
based off of you know how you engage, how optimized your profile is, whether or not you engage with other people's accounts. And then that's how LinkedIn determines if they're going to share certain information. So if somebody said, hey, I'm looking for a web designer, if I've been engaging and connecting with different people, then that actually will show up on my timeline because of how my profile is optimized, right? So these are all small little things that you can do within your business. And then just yeah, just make sure you have your banners up to date. So this is a before and after one of the clients that we did a makeover for. He had no banner image, profile image, and then obviously he's not photogenic at all, but he let us work with him on the picture, and then we updated his about his profile and everything behind that. But then also making sure your banner tells your story of who you are, what you do, and how they can get in contact with you. That would help a lot because then people
Wonderful.
will know. But yeah, other than that, feel free to get in contact with us. I think you have a slide with
Yes.
information um, on how you can get in contact with us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Wendell. I appreciate it. I'm going to share a couple of slides real quick here.
Yep,
Thank you so much. I'll
you're
switch
welcome.
to share. So I just want to talk a little bit about Global Chamber Dallas. Let's see, is it sharing with you? We do have an advisory board, and we have a phenomenal advisory board who's been with Global Chamber for a while, who's within different services within the business community. And we definitely have opportunity for our chapter to grow, to learn more about Global Chamber. Did it go to the next slide? Oh, no, it did not. Okay. I'm over here like, why didn't it move? It moved now. There you go. Um, and so we definitely have more opportunities. So if anyone's interested in joining Global Chamber, here's our QR code that you can join us there. In addition to that, I did put on uh, Wendell's information as well, so you can have both. So if you want to get involved with Global Chamber, we'd love to have you. Want to learn more information? I'm not just trying to do the sell. I learned from the marketing funnel here. Let's have a connection. Let's talk about what you're interested in, what you're doing, and how we can partner together. Wendell, that was a great learning experience for me. Also, when you do go to Global Chambers, if you're in the metro area, choose Dallas. If you're in another city or state, still reach out to me. Love to talk with you. And then also making sure that you put the metro area that you're in. We're all a family. When you're a member of Global Chamber Dallas, you're a member of all the chambers, all the chapters, the metros, and as well as global. We are a global tribe, a global family. And we have over 800 events a year. Most of them, the majority of them, 90% of them or more are virtual. We have our upcoming events that I just pulled a few out. That we have a global author series that's tomorrow, November 19th, which is 7 p.m. Central Time. Global Chamber Los Angeles Metro. They are also on the 20th, and that's at 2 p.m. Oops, 4 p.m. Central Time. And we have Global Virtual League of Opportunities. There's so much. We have a chapter that's just knocking it out of the park. Our Global Chamber New York, you all have to log into this. I'm going to be there November 25th, not there in person, but I'm logging in. I hear that they're doing great things, and I want to be a part of that synergy. And then we have a women online networking as well, Global Chamber Network, and they're doing great things for women as well. I just want to say thank you to everyone. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Let us give thanks with grateful hearts. And that is it for tonight. Wendell, thank you so much. We have our CEO on here. He may want to say a few words before we log out. Doug Brunke, did you want to say anything?
I thought it was great information, very thoughtful, and I took pictures and to digest later. Wendell, did you have any final comments that you would like to make in terms of things you want to leave us with? What do you think?
Yeah, the only comment I would say is let's humanize how we do automation. I think that's the biggest thing, right? Ultimately, it's these tools are here as a resource. And I know some people abuse it in terms of how it's being used, but the ones that stand out in the marketplace that are using it are the ones that are finding ways to humanize it. And typically that's what LinkedIn automation is all about for us, is how do we humanize the experience to make sure that people are generally connecting the right way and building relationships and not making it so robotic in a sense of where you can't really have a relationship with somebody that just is just all about the numbers rather than the relationship. So yeah, so that's all I want to leave you guys here with today. Thank you. Thank you
Part
again.
part of that is the timing, right? That you talked about in terms of like reacting right away and things like that. And then what is it? It's something in the writing, right? It's like when we can
Mhm.
between what's written in AI and what a human does. And so is it that kind of subtlety that you're talking about?
Yes, 100%. That plays a huge part in that. How you right, how you show up in your message will yield you a response, right? If you're showing up with kindness, if you're showing up with grace, if you're showing up with not being pestering, because we all have busy lives. And if you kind of just think through again, if I'm a human going through this automation experience that you're trying to give me, how will I receive this? Right. And I think that's the most important thing. Nobody wants to be bombarded. Um, and I think through that, you give people enough time, right? We don't have to be able to close the sale as soon as somebody responds, but also that's why I said understanding the marketing funnel is tremendously important, because if you can put yourself in your customer's shoes through the automation process, then it will make a big difference in how you do automation, because you'll realize that people just want to feel like they're dealing and working with somebody, even if you're using automation. They're not saying don't use it. They're just wanting to feel like, hey, this person cares about um, the process, right, of reminding it. And it's okay to remind people or to stay on top of mind, right? Now we need at least 7 to 10 touch points before somebody can even remember us. Before it used to be between 5 and 6. So we need to do more outreach, but there's a lot of noise. So to cut through it, definitely make sure that you think through the human level of how you're automating your business.
Amazing. Great thoughts. Thanks, Stephanie, for pulling Wendell in, and looking forward to learning more. Thank you.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Deb.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your evening. I know we went over by 5 minutes. We really appreciate your time, and we appreciate everyone's thoughts and comments. Have a great evening.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
See you, Doug. Thank you, Global Chamber.
Take care. Thank you.